Hello and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in today. I had a minute and I have a couple of notes, but other than that today I just go by what I feel. Sometimes I don't like to really do notes because, you just kind of intuitively go with what comes to you, what comes through me or what's in me. So all of my videos vary based on my, where I am, my position, where I'm feeling, how I'm feeling. And obviously the collective is always shifting. The earth is spinning at 100,000 miles an hour. So you're never in the same place twice. So it's all changing. Every day is different. Spontaneity. Anyway, today we are here. I'm doing the second last video in my series. We're doing the cold, hard truth of Virgo, the virgin. No, well, not so much the virgin, but if you're a Virgo and you're listening, hello, my Virgos, my Virgo friends. How are you? I hope you're having a good week. I hope that you're having a productive week if you're a Virgo. I know a lot of you Virgos attach a lot of your self-worth to your productivity, and I do it too. So does Capricorn. If I don't feel like I've been well used of service, I get depressed because Virgo's probably going to like me for saying this and hate me for what I'm going to say later about them. But we could all be doing a lot better. We could all be doing a lot more. We could, I've been getting up at 4:30, 5 o'clock. I usually get up and I get to my desk because I know that it gives me a head start. It's time management, and that's a big factor that I'm going to talk about in this video today about the cold, hard truth of Virgo is that you guys, if you're listening, first of all, it's hard to actually say something that you guys don't already know about yourselves because you are very, very analytical. So I've had to think about what I want to say here. But your relationship with time management is a big factor in your success or lack of productivity or being one of the biggest procrastinators in the zodiac. Did I get you? Did I get you then, Virgo? Probably. But yeah, your time management. So what's realistic in a day? How many hours are in a day? And what can you do with the day, or not do in the day? It really depends. Now, first of all, personally speaking, I actually don't really have any Virgos in my life. Why? I have absolutely nothing in common with them a lot of the time, and I completely eliminate them. Okay? I don't really let Virgos in. And you're probably going, oh, bad Goliath, bad press. How dare you? No, and you guys are actually the same as well. So, before you go and judge me for not being that way inclined, and it's not an intentional thing, it's an energy thing. Of course, there are a lot of beautiful, very undervalued traits in Virgo that I think just should be getting more recognition. You do deserve more recognition, Virgo. You do. If you're a light-sided one and you've done the integration. But if you're a dark-sided Virgo, you are the biggest fucking soul-destroying, soul-sucking, energy-sucking, motherfucking vampire you'll ever meet in the world. Okay? Usually it sits one or the other, but we'd have to look at your chart. So, yes, I don't have many Virgos in my life. A lot of them are self-proclaimed gurus, self-proclaimed reality awareness people that are just so in their head all the time. They've got their head stuck so far up their own ass that they've completely lost themselves. And it's an interesting one because I learn a lot from Virgo, as I've learned a lot over all of the jobs and bosses and managers and monsters that I've had in my life. By the way, when I was young, my mum used to say, there's no such thing as monsters. No, monsters are people. Humans can be monstrous. And of course, the monsters within. I just wrote a book about it. So, character traits of the Virgo. Let's just get into the basic cookie cutter stuff and then I'll get into the heavier shit, okay? So Virgos is like coming out of that period of heading into the death. We've come out of like coming into Scorpio, coming into Halloween, and then it's kind of like the end of summer. This is like the cold, hard truth, the cold, hard reality of life. This is a down-to-earth, grounded sign that has a very, very dry, practical way of going about life and has a very dry, sarcastic sense of humor, which a lot of the time is fantastic and I love it. But a lot of the time it doesn't really give other people space or a place at the table for Virgo, for them to come into the Virgo's life. If Virgo knows everything and is an expert on everything and they're trying to help everybody else, but in their own life, they have usually nothing. They're alone. They have no love. They have no partner. And I've never come across a sign more than like Virgo where they disown their own families, particularly the mother womb. The mother wound is very big around the constellation of Virgo. And I've come across a lot of Virgos that have very strange, very dysfunctional loops. And in psychology, we call this a feedback loop. And this is something that Virgos don't tend to do a lot. They tend to start loops but not close them, or keep a loop on a loop. And the thing about a loop is that it's a fucking circle. It just goes round and round in circles. So this sign tends to do the same shit over and over and over again. And a part of them kind of knows that it's not going to work, but it's the I told you so of it that makes them do what they do. And they like to tell other people I told you so too. I know you guys do because I've seen it and heard it a million fucking times with Virgo. So yes, when we talk about star signs and we talk about, where your position was, I do come across a lot of Virgos that are very attracted to me. I've come across, I don't actively seek a lot of them out in my life. They are more reserved, and I don't know, but I've actually asked a few Virgos over the years when I was running my own business for many years, what was it about me that made you, listen to me or come to me or be attracted to me? And a lot of them said it was my aesthetic, it was my face, it was my square jaw or my eyes, or it was my look, or it was, of course, when they get to know me and we converse, they realize I'm actually like a bit of an ocean. There's a bit of depth to me, and Virgo loves that because this sign needs intellectual, analytical communication, and that is how you keep the Virgo around. This relationship that you would have with a Virgo will either be the most beautiful, stable, loving and caring thing you'll ever come across, or it will be you'll probably need therapy for the rest of your life when you deal with this sign. So I'm just opening up my crown, and there's quite a bit of information just kind of opening, it's kind of pouring in right now. So I'm just going to go with what I feel. So yes, this sign needs intellectual connection. So I talk about the occult and spell work and magic and mysticism and things like that. I've talked about love spells. This sign has an interest in love spells specifically. And they have an interest in trying to find something that is of higher level than they are in society. And I don't care what type of paradigm that is, they just have to find something that they can mirror and try and kind of build themselves or shadow or copy someone else that's higher than them, so that they can grow stronger. And life is an act of consumption, and Virgo knows this. We must consume energy to grow to meet our full potential. So Virgo also understands that to, get a lot, you've got to give a lot. So this is a very, very hardworking sign, and they are very committed once they find their passion. The problem is Virgo has a very hard time in their childhood trying to ascertain who exactly that they are based on their relationships with their outside world, pertaining mostly to their parents, because we get taught love, we get taught rejection, we get taught a lot of the really hard-hitting stuff in our childhood. And if Virgo doesn't get its needs met directly, Virgo will create scenarios where they become like forcing people's hands to give them attention. And so a lot of Virgo's suffering, if you're listening, I'm going to say this really clearly, a lot of your suffering, Virgo, is not so much your acquisition for knowledge and being disappointed when you find out the truth. A lot of your suffering comes from comparison and comparing yourselves to other people that you deem are higher of sexual marketplace value, higher in intellect than you, more charming than you, or they simply have a greater following than you, like they've acquired more social clout or capital. This is what drives Virgo: excellence. So Virgos have impossible standards within themselves. And if a Virgo doesn't actually meet those standards, those impossible standards, they become very jaded, very bitter, and they will sabotage and knock the wind out of the sails of anyone that tries. So if you're a air sign or a fire sign and you have a Virgo parent, you are in for one hell of a life, okay? Because you're going to be coming up against someone that will withhold emotions from you and will withhold love from you and will pull their affections away to basically punish you and torment you. And they Virgos, the dark side, like to plant seeds in your head and watch them grow. And if the tree grows all fucked up, that's because the seed was all fucked up. Luckily, in my early 20s, I came across quite a few Virgo women and very quickly was able to decipher energetically their energetic code and was like, bye. And I got away very quickly. Virgos tend to see themselves like like an oracle. And a lot of the time they are. Like, you got to give credit where credit's due. Virgos perceive themselves a lot of the time as like a monk or a priestess, the grain priestess, which is what their sign is. But it's kind of like, you must bend the knee before you approach me, or you must prove to me that you're worthy of my knowledge, or some shit like that. They have a pretentiousness to them. And I've never come across a sign that can be so cold, so fucking cold and dry and sour and depressing. And if it's like a triple placement or a double placement of Virgo in their chart, so they've got like a moon in Virgo, sun in Virgo, Venus in Virgo, you're dealing with a very peculiar being. And this sign usually is always single. They prefer to be on their own. And that there's nothing, by the way, nothing wrong with that. The problem is that we all need connection and we all need love. But a lot of the time, Virgos pretty much just want to be independent. Because, and you're probably thinking, why? Well, because complicated connections frustrate Virgo. People frustrate Virgo. Irrationality of other people frustrate Virgo to no end. So Virgo wants to go with what is the most efficient way of doing life. And if they deem that dealing with people is too complex and too much of a head fuck, and the people around Virgo are fake, Virgo will just opt to be the bachelorette or the bachelor. And that's okay. I understand it, but it doesn't do Virgo service in the long term. Now, Virgos have a very cold, hard reality thing going on. They are always looking for truth, which is very admirable. A lot of them seek truth through religion, or they seek truth through investigation. These guys are very good investigators. They make great PIs, great detectives. A lot of them are scientists, and they like to go into medical fields, or, because obviously medical is service to them, understanding cells, analyzing things under microscopes, that type of thing. They need to understand something on a very macro and micro level, always. And that's the problem that Virgo comes with, is that don't get in a relationship with them if you have unhealed trauma, because Virgo is going to have no problem at all starting to unpack that for you, whether you like it or not. A lot of the time Virgo means well, but this sign would rather talk about the real shit than talk about latent fluffy shit like a Libra would, or sometimes maybe even a silly like Leo would. Okay, they're not really interested in the glitz and the glamour. This sign understands that there are moving parts behind things, the cogs that make the wheels turn. They're interested in that. They're interested in biology and the guts and blood and the neural pathways and studying the brain and things like that. Like they like to study people, much like Aquarius does as well. Now, their brains can be very neurotic. They do have trouble focusing. But when Virgo is in their passion, and I've met a few Virgos that have gone through quite a few different job descriptions that they've changed, come and gone over the years. Once they find their passion and they fully commit to it, it's a really beautiful thing to watch the level of dedication that these guys have for their craft and their work. They take it very seriously. And they're always looking at ways to upgrade and streamline their business or modify their way of doing it. So they're very practical, even if it seems like it's unorthodox to other people. Like I had a Virgo housemate once that put a coffee machine in the hallway rather than keep the coffee machine in the kitchen, because it was more convenient and streamlined for them in the morning to get their coffee near their bedroom. Now, to me, that was insane, and it was messy, and it didn't match the hallway, and it was just weird. But to them, that's how they operate. They operate on what is most efficient. So this is also a sign that will fire a lot of people. They'll have a lot of candidates that will come through into their life. And if it doesn't fit for Virgo, it's that monk approach that I mentioned before. So Virgo will take one look at them, and I actually don't mind that. I actually have respect for that, because it's self-respect that Virgo really, a light-sided Virgo has. So they have taken the time to do the heavy lifting and the unpacking of their life. So they really want you to come fully assembled to them. It's like approaching a shaman or like, a really heavy occultist and kind of going, hey, I've got like 5 minutes. Can you tell me how to do it? Doing my Valley Girl accent there. And Virgo is going to take one look at that and go, bye. And Virgo will dismiss you very quickly. These guys will cut you down to the ground, and you will be left, and they will just walk away, and they will think nothing of it, because your approach to them didn't come from the right place. This is a very introspective sign, and they are looking to fix problems and be of service. Now, this is the heavy part of Virgo. Ready? Having a sip of the tea. Virgos either are the colon of the zodiac, the colon of the world, which is the part that it excrements the waste of the things that we don't need. So they're always looking at what is wrong. They're always, when they look in the mirror, when a Virgo looks in the mirror, they don't see beauty. They see only flaws. So there is nothing that I could say in this video that a Virgo, a dark negative thought about themselves that a Virgo wouldn't have already had about themselves to begin with. They would have already gone there. It's already in the back of their mind. No one needs to beat Virgo up more than Virgo beats themselves up sometimes. So Virgo, if you're listening, just, you're enough. You don't need to go to therapy all the time and talk about your fucking feelings. What you need to do is accept that life is chaos. You can't control everything. Stop trying to fix everyone. Stop trying to take little fucked up birds off the street that fell out of the nest and heal them. Just work on yourself and amplify that first, because there'll always be another Rubik's Cube. There'll always be another problem. Life in itself, perhaps, listen, get this. I was saying this to my Gemini friend the other day. Perhaps life isn't something to be understood and deciphered and unpacked and analyzed. Perhaps life is just something that is meant to be kind of experienced. And that's it. So if you could kind of adopt that philosophy a little bit more, you would save yourself a lot of suffering, because a lot of people are stupid. And Virgos can't handle stupid people because they can't receive the Virgo. They're absolutely worthless to the Virgo, because Virgo's already got their 10 chapters ago. And the person that's in the class is kind of like, hey, I got to the first chapter and Virgo's already read the book. So you guys are already way ahead of the game a lot of the time. And you're very intuitive, Virgos. I've never met a sign that either becomes the waste that needs to be getting rid of, like Virgos need to get fucked off, or the other way around, where they're the thing that holds everything together. They're the thing that we need the most, not the waste. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, I come across a lot of that type of thing. These guys run tight ships. A lot of them will know where everything is, even if their apartment looks quite messy. A lot of them do suffer from OCD. A lot of them have eating disorders. They struggle with self-image, body image. This sign is always kind of building their self on the outer world, looking in rather than looking in, looking out. It's kind of in reverse with Virgos. It's just how they are. It's how they're built. I've got a Virgo friend who's got a moon in Virgo, and he is a bit like that as well. Now, Virgos, as I said, they're very aware of their limitations. They're very aware of their shortcomings. And a lot of the time when they get frustrated, they tend to project that out onto others. And so they will find all the flaws and pull everything apart at the seams in others. This is the sign that will make a YouTube video talking about someone else's work and criticizing why they don't like that movie, or why they don't like that tarot card deck, or they don't like that book. They'll have no trouble telling you what they don't like. But when you sit down and say, well, okay, if you're so depressed, then what is it, Virgo, that would make you feel happy? What is it? Like, tell me what a life for you that would look like better. What do we need to change about it to make it better for you, not for someone else, Virgo? And they wouldn't have a clue. They'd be like, I get it all the time. And that's why a lot of the time I just go bye and I get rid of Virgos. Because if you've got the time and energy to talk about other people, you certainly are using that as a bypass for doing the work in your own life. Okay, so I don't, as an artist, as a person, I don't give a fuck about what other artists are doing. I'm never going to talk about other people's work. I will praise other people's work, but it's not my place to deconstruct another artist's work. All right, so a lot of you guys get very inspired by poetry. They have a gentle heart. Virgos do have a gentle heart. If they become resentful, it's because they were hurt deeply, and they They need to find like an occupation of service that makes them feel needed. This sign needs to feel that they are of service to the world. That's the key words, service. How do I serve others? Because back to the oneness thing, we're all kind of serving each other. I do this for you, you do this for me. And that's kind of like how the world kind of works. Someone bakes the bread, someone makes the shoes, someone catches the fish. We all bring different skills and knowledge to the marketplace of life. And that's kind of, what it is. Now, they are very inherently emotional. Virgos have a very over-responsive nervous system. A lot of them, and I've noticed a lot of them, if the emotional damage isn't addressed, they will manifest cancers, tumors, lupus, diabetes, heart conditions, things like that. They stress a lot. They stay up at night. Their head's always hurting because they're always like stressed as hell about all of the potential things that could go wrong in humanity. So yeah, just chill a little bit. Like I said before, the only sign that is as attentive to detail as a Virgo is the Scorpion. And that kind of inner turmoil where the stinger of the scorpion can go back in on itself and sting itself. And that's what can happen with this sign as well. So be gentle on yourself. Although you guys are so self-sufficient, it's symbolic of the Mary, the mother, the goddess, the queen, that type of thing, harvesting, growing grain, things like that. That's very Virgo. They're very logical in an argument. So if you're going to have it out with a Virgo, you need to present a very sound argument, and you need to be able to back up your facts. When you present something to them, don't just give them a statement. You need to tell them why you got to that conclusion, how you got to that conclusion, what studies did you draw that information from? They need to know that, because if you step up to them, they will completely distrust you if your argument isn't sound, and they will dismiss you, okay? Now, there is a passivity to this sign which doesn't do Virgo any favors. This sign is renowned for catfishing people, so they will set up fake profiles. They can be very sneaky like that. It's really sad, but a lot of them that are like, 600 pounds or something, they can't go outside. They need connection, but they can't get the connection through direct dating and meeting people. So they'll create an avatar and reduce themselves and miniaturize themselves into some kind of archetype of another person that would be more like their idolized version of themselves. And then they try and operate through that other avatar and engage with other people, which is really, really fucking pathetic and cruel to do that to someone, because they can't meet. They will never meet. So they'll sit in their bedroom and make up little chat groups and shit like that, hate groups, catfishing people, complaining on websites, writing stuff, but it's always usually anonymous. They don't tend to want to put themselves out there as much as the fire signs do. So they've got no problem, throwing stones into glass houses, like that kind of thing. Now, the shadow of Virgo is that it has a unquenchable thirst for knowledge. They need to know everything. And also, they're very stingy with what they give you sometimes. So they'll want to know all about you, but you know really very little about them. So, and a very dark Virgo will be only satisfied once they've destroyed your relationship. And they will do it from the inside out. Luckily, Virgo's tricks won't work on me because I'm like I'm like a fucking Jedi Knight. I can see it coming from 10 miles away. So Virgos tend to stay away from me. Because if you want to go there, we'll go there. I go there, Virgo, so it's not a problem for me at all. And like I'm saying, if you're listening now, Virgo is probably trying to deconstruct everything that I'm saying, but this is my experience. It's my interpretation. You don't get to overstamp someone else's interpretation, and their experiences are valid just like yours are, Virgo. So that's another key thing there. So that's really a little bit about Virgo. I know I've kind of covered quite a bit there. A lot of Virgo parents will either be like the tiger parent mum, where it's like you are micromanaged. They feel so out of control, so they've got to control everything around them, which is a nightmare. You could come into their house and you could move like a lampshade or an ornament like 3 inches on the table, and they'll walk in and they'll notice. I had a Virgo girl come to a party once that I had, and I'd put a lot of effort into the party, and the first thing that she said to me when she walked in the door is that there was cobwebs up in the corner. And I was actually in such a good mood, I let it slide, and I was like, okay, but I mean, look at, like, yeah, who gives a fuck about the cobwebs? But to her, it was very important, you see, because it was her way of regaining control by trying to deconstruct me, even though she was at my fucking party and drinking my free alcohol and eating free food. And after the party, I actually just contacted her and said, you know what, I can't be fucked with you anymore. You're just a pain in the ass. You're a whiny bitch. Bye. And I just wiped her like that. And I couldn't care less about what she had to say in her defense, because she was such a negative person that it was just painful to be around. Okay. So I told her a few times before that, just lighten up. Like, nothing's perfect. Your version of perfect doesn't exist. And everyone else's version of perfect doesn't exist either. All right. So this over-critical, over-analytical thinking is a great thing when you're in your craft. But for everyday life, if we want to be accepted by others, we have to accept others as they are, even if they're dysfunctional as hell. I meet people all the time. I see it on the internet. Every time I turn on the internet, I see some crazy, wokey, insane ideology that is so dysfunctional and so basically full of shit that I don't even engage with it. It's completely inconsequential to my life. Why? Because I know that the yield of that mindset or that way of thinking isn't based in reality, which means that it can't actually ever yield anything that is real. All right. So I hope that made sense. If you're getting this sign, getting that about them is really important. A lot of them don't know when to stop. They take things way too far. They can blow things up way out of proportion. This is also a very big problem for the sign as well. So they'll take a little mouse, suddenly becomes a fucking elephant, and it just gets out of hand. All right. So Virgo, be sweet, be kind, be gentle, be slow. Okay. You move it, and sometimes you guys move very quickly, and that's a wonderful thing because your mind is just so incredible. Like, you guys have a great mind. You guys solve problems. If I had a technical problem at work and I needed help quickly, I would call a Virgo, or I'd call a Gemini, I'd call a Libra, but it is what it is. I had a friend years ago as well who was a Virgo that was OCD, but she was obsessed with cleanliness. So she'd have to turn the light switch on 4 times when she walked into the room. She'd have to clean her hands. And it was just really, it was very hard to watch her function like this. A lot of the Virgos have very weird, not weird, but very unique, different idiosyncrasies about the way that they move their body, the way that they are in their body, twitching, fidgeting, touching things, playing with things. They're very good with their hands as well. Virgo people can build great things. They're very, very good builders. Much like Aquarian, a lot of them are also engineers, as they need to understand how a bridge is built. They will make a little model bridge and learn how to build a bridge, things like that. But yes, a lot of them, just their bad habits can really override a lot of the positive traits of themselves. So it's kind of like they create these little self-fulfilling prophecies where it's like, no one will date me, no one will date me, but yet they don't really project love. So in order to get love, you need to project love. You need to be lovable. And you need to show the man that you're trying to date that you have space in your life for him to fit in. Otherwise, he's not going to stick around. All right? So, yeah. Also, Also, you won't know a Virgo until you criticize them. That's when you know you've got... If a Virgo can be criticized in a constructive way, where it's like, hey, this is coming from a place of love. I've just noticed that you're like this. Have you thought about shifting that perspective? Or, because some of them, sometimes maybe they're not aware that they come across off that way and they just need a gentle reminder. But if the Virgo blows up and goes into like a narcissistic fucking rage, it's like walking around on eggshells. At any moment, the Virgo could explode. And that doesn't make people feel safe. So a lot of abandonment issues come up around the sign, whether Virgo is abandoning others or Virgo feels abandoned. It's not good, because the people that they have, like their kids and stuff, will never really don't get that love, and that creates unhealthy attachments in the kids. So I hope that makes sense. And if you're a Virgo, a lot of the time as they get older, they do mellow and they do start to really let things slide a little bit. And they're like a dog with a bone. Sometimes their bone's just too big for them to bury, and that's fair enough. I can be like that too. But yeah, they would rather at some point construct that bridge, extend their hand out, extend the olive branch, and say to their mum or dad or whatever, hey, let's just agree to disagree. Let's just at least be civil to each other. Let's be friends at the very least, and let a whole bunch of shit slide. And that's sometimes the best way to go about it. But if on the positive side, if you're looking for self-improvement and you've got a Virgo partner, Virgos want an adventure. So you better get up early in the morning, make your bed tight, and I mean tight like nurses' corners, and you better get out the hiking boots and get out into life. And that's a really good Virgo thing. A lot of them need routines. A lot of them are personal trainers, gymnasts, acrobats, anything to do with mastery of the body. They do the work, they show up, they are very good with their diet. A lot of them, they're either really strict with their diet and they have a lot of discipline, or they have absolutely no discipline and they let themselves go, and it's not good. That negative side of them gets in their own head and it controls their value and their self-worth, and then they just keep eating, and then they eat more, and it just gets like binge eating can be a big problem with this sign. A lot of food addiction can come up around this sign, I've noticed, much like Cancer. Now, Virgos are very creative. There is a very creative, fertile soil energy. So they can plant seeds and grow things and create beautiful things, very intricate details, beautiful paintings, foods, baking. They're very good cooks. They're great chefs. A lot of them can cook very well when they want to, when they feel appreciated. I think that's the word. Virgos need to feel appreciated. Appreciate the Virgo's service. The Virgo will stick around, all right? But if you're going to continue to behave the way that you normally do, which is dysfunctional, Virgo will, they're not going to hang around. If you don't change your ways around them and modify slightly to accommodate the Virgo, they will, you're just going to drive them back out the door again, and that's fair enough too. So yeah, they're good listeners. A lot of them are really good listeners. It's either a good listener or terrible listener. There's not a lot of middle ground with this sign. A lot of them are very good listeners. They're analyzing you, how your body moves, your skeletal structure, how you did your hair, your hygiene. Do you smell? What do you smell like? What aftershave are you wearing? What perfume do you wear? What clothes are you wearing? How do you present yourself? Like, is your shirt buttoned up? Is your tie done straight? This type of stuff. Like, they're always looking for, the analytical side of you. Or to analyze you. They want to analyze and understand you because that brings them closer to learning and getting closer to you. So people fall in love in the heart and the mind, and people fall in lust in between the legs. So Virgos are very infatuated. They come in with very intense obsessions, very intense fascinations with people that can be a little bit unhealthy because they kind of idolize people to the point where they want to be the other person. So a little bit like single white female or some shit. I've seen that. That would be a single white female. That girl, she'll probably be a Virgo from that movie. Yeah, if you know the film. All right, so I'm going to leave it here. Be honest, Virgo. Be sincere. You are enough. This comes up a lot around you. Find your craft, find your purpose, do the work, and you know, the light side of Virgo is a beautiful thing. The dark side of the Virgo is the mother that mummy knows best kind of thing, and it's just hell to deal with. So anyway, lots of love. Don't be fake around Virgos either. They don't like fake shit. No fake bullshit. Same with Taurus. If you're fake, you're phony in the way that you present yourself. Their love language is physical action. So they don't care about like words. A bunch of words have an expiry date. Virgo needs physical proof. They need to see the money in the bank. They need to see the weight coming off to show that you're doing the work and saving the money and doing the commitment. They need that. That's how they feel safe. All right. So security through dependability is how Virgo acquires safety, and money makes the Virgos feel safe too. A lot of them are bisexual, which is not fun. A lot of them are closeted, which is also not good because they're living this kind of double life shit. As we know, anything that isn't built on truth, that isn't a falsehood, it will reveal itself at some point and it will come undone. Sexually, this sign might look prudish, but they are not virgins. This sign, a lot of Virgo women are strippers. A lot of Virgo women were sex workers. They have a very deep interest in the sexual, in the womb. And that's kind of their vibe. They are they want to be this beautiful Adonis. And that's why they kind of like it's a little on the dark side. You probably won't hear this much. It's a little bit Luciferic. A lot of gay men also are Virgos, I've noticed. The paradigm of that is wallowing in their own sense of self-perfection and being completely obsessed with their image and their projection and going to the gym and having a six-pack and looking the part. But if you were a fly on the wall and you were around their relationship or spent one day in their house invisible watching their life, it would actually be quite miserable. So I have mentioned so much in this video. If you found it helpful or insightful, if you agree with me, let me know. If you disagree with me, that's cool too. Let me know. I'd love to know what you think. Everyone's experience is valid. This is the cold, hard truth of the Virgo. So I will see you in the next video. We are going to be doing Aquarius soon, so stick around for the dark side or the cold hard truth of Aquarius. Have a great day. Lots of love. Please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. All right. Bye.